All right. Hello, world. This is the PodLayer team doing what we do. This time here on the Tuesdays, it's going to be track 2 voicing training. And I have with me, I am Naiji Coach, and I have fellow Naiji with me. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
I'm Naiji Mitchell.
I'm Naiji Pen.
All right, and we're going to get our track 2 leveling up on. All right. So, we left off. We did the overview for spirit forms. So now we're going to get into the specific pieces of the 4 conscious power spirit forms. All right, so first up is One-Way Walker. Does everyone have their ebooks?
I'm getting there.
Cool.
I have the ebook open. I'm just getting it proper.
All right. So, what is the purpose of the One-Way Walker? How do the forms relate to the overall process of being a Naiji? How does it relate to the frequency of Naiji misreading themselves? What are some of the main distinctions of how the One-Way Walker operates? So Ben, you can go and lead us off there.
All right. The Naiji One-Way Walker is very complex with multiple distinct forms it takes in order to be a supremely dedicated disciple of personal truth. Each form takes turns at different phases throughout the long circuitous process.
Circuitous.
Naiji can spend their entire lives in just one phase, which is one of the many reasons Naiji are misread by the and after that should be removed by themselves and others more than any other mojo. There are numerous aspects to the spirit form, but the main distinctions are the No-Way Walker, the Some-Way Walker, the My-Way Walker, the New-Way Walker, and of course the One-Way Walker.
All right, so whenever you're ready. Take time.
For the main distinctions, is that the... Oh, okay, that makes sense.
The last sentence,
Yeah, last sentence, yeah. Okay, thank you. So is the second question related to the second sentence?
The second question, you're talking about how do the forms relate to the overall process of being an IG?
Yep.
Yeah, that relates to each form takes a turn at different phases of the long circuitous process.
Okay, thank you. The purpose of the one-way walker is to take multiple different forms in order to be a supremely dedicated disciple of natural law truth. Um, these forms take shape at different stages in a long circuitous process, and this is integral to the Naiji the pathway. Naiji can often misread themselves because they can often spend their entire lives in essentially their entire lives in a single form, and they can thus think that they're a different mojo, or they're really into like science and technology or something, and I think they're object based. The main distinctions of the one-way walker are the no-way walker, the some-way walker, the my-way walker, the new-way walker, and of course the one-way walker.
Boom. Credit received, sir. Nicely done. Mitchell, jump in.
Alright then. The, the purpose of the one-way walker is to be a supremely dedicated disciple of truth, and it takes multiple ways, it takes multiple forms in order to accomplish this, and each form takes turns at different stages throughout a very long circuitous process in the life of an Naiji, and Naiji can even spend their entire lives in just one form, which is one of the many reasons, among the others, that they frequently misread themselves as compared to other mojos. Some of the main distinctions of how the one-way walker operates are the no-way walker, some-way walker, my-way walker, new-way walker, and the one-way walker.
Boom. Nicely done. All right. Next up, Mitchell, you will go first on this. How does the no-way walker operate? Why is having no way actually really having a way? How can the no-way walker be confusing to the Naiji and others?
Okay. The no-way walker uses abductive reasoning to say to the world, this isn't it, causing Naiji to then pull away from their ways. Although Naiji can feel like they don't have a way, in reality they are subtly acknowledging that the world isn't currently going the way natural law says it should for the betterment of all humanity. When Naiji hold back from what is going on, it can seem adaptive, or even beta, but it is actually the vague beginning stages of perceiving the imperceptible ways of nature.
Cool. You're ready, sir.
Alright, the no-way walker operates by using abductive reasoning to say to the world that this isn't it, which causes the Naishi to pull away from the standard ways of established ways of doing things. Having no way is actually having a way, because in doing this pulling away, the Naishi's acknowledging that the way the world is currently going, in some respect, is actually not the way that would be ideal for the betterment of humanity. The no-way walker can be confusing because it can seem adaptive or beta, that really it's just a vague beginning to receiving the imperceptible ways of nature, which will eventually get more firm.
Boom. Got it. Ben?
Cool. The no-way walker causes the Naiji to say that this isn't it, causing them to pull away from known ways. The reason that but this is actually having a way, because the Naiji is effectively acknowledging that the way that the world is going is not the way that natural law says it should go. So they're forming an opinion that is the case. This can be confusing because when Naiji detach from known ways, when they pull back, this can be seen as adaptive or even beta. But this is really the beginning to forming an opinion about the way things should be.
Good. Next up. How does the some-way walker operate? How does this influence how the Naiji spends their time and interacts with the world? How can the some-way walker be confusing to the Naiji and others? Ben, you'll go first.
The Naiji some-way walker feels a discomfort at being bored and annoyed by what the world has immediately to offer. This awakens a drive in Naiji for relentless researching, investigating, and speculation of what to do with this discomfort, and feeling the calm that they can't explore, although they can sometimes use their singular visions to make progress even when the world stands still. The intoxication of working with these initial puzzle pieces can make Naiji seem to be adaptive, but with an edge that hints at their true detective nature to solve these enlightened riddles. The some-way walker feels discomfort with being bored by what the world initially has to offer, and this essentially causes a drive within the Naiji to want to research and investigate possible changes, possible different routes, and so forth. This can be confusing because the Naiji can again feel like they're adaptive because they're taking a more still a more held back approach to addressing it. They're not really attacking it head on. They're just kind of looking at different possible ways of doing things, and that can be confusing. But they're being a true detective on the case of what they should be doing.
Good. Yeah, playing detective often, unless the Naji speaks about what they're doing, isn't usually picked up as directive activity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not until you present your research or start voicing it or debating whatever. Oh, they have an opinion on that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Mitchell, you're up.
Right. The Someway Walker operates essentially by feeling a discomfort at being bored or annoyed with what the world immediately has to offer. This influences the way the Naishi spends their time, interacts with the world, because it awakens a drive in them to do investigation and research, speculation of how to alleviate this discomfort. And they feel becalmed when they can explore, but even when the world isn't having an immediate response, they can use their simulator visions to make progress. The Someway Walker can be confusing because there's an intoxication that comes with the puzzle solving of this phase, and that can make the Naishi seem like they're adaptive. But there's an edge to the puzzle solving that's hints at their true directive nature.
Yep. It has a little bit more of a just fun research, and he's like, this I must do. It's that I must research quality that is the edge. All right, so next up, Cruisin'. Okay, this is going to be My Way Walker, and Mitchell, you'll go first.
Sure.
How does the My Way Walker operate? How does this influence how the Naiji spends their time and interacts with the world? How does the My Way Walker start to show the directive nature of the Naiji, and for what purpose?
Alright, the My Way Walker enacts the needed rituals for the Naishi to be a living artistic detective experiment. This comes with an intense urge to go places and do things to take these cases to the next level, which can be anything that interests Naishi, from the scientific to spiritual, but otherwise Naishi will still be largely uninterested in the world. However, Naishi will have strict requirements for the process of whatever personal casework is being done, and fierce impatience with anything that interferes with the investigation. This is where the Naishi directive nature starts to really show, because they now know they serve their higher processes and failure is not an option. My Way Walker operates by enacting the needed rituals for the Naiji to be a living artistic experiment. This influences how the Naiji spends their time in the world because it gives them an urge to go certain places or do certain things that would help them take their casework to the next level. But besides that, the Naiji isn't really going to be very interested in the world. It starts to show the directive nature of the Naiji, the My Way Walker, because there's going to be strict requirements in the processes of doing the personal casework and a fierce impatience with anything interfering with it. And this is basically the higher powers of the Naiji speaking the directive powers that failure isn't an option.
Good. Ben?
The My Way Walker causes the Naiji to be a living artistic detective experiment for the case that they're working on. This causes the Naiji to want to go places and live experiences that directly help them with the case that they're working on. But they may also be very detached from the world when they're not doing this. The Naiji start to show their directive nature due to the strict standards and requirements they put on themselves through this process, and this fierce urge to make sure that nothing stops them or gets in their way. This is all for the purpose of serving their higher faculties, and because failure is not an option.
Yep. Cannot tell your peak pathway no.
Yeah.
Like, who pays the energy bills around here? All right. Next up, Ben, you'll go first on this one. How does the New Way Walker operate? How does the New Way Walker influence the rest of the human species? How does the New Way Walker show the directive nature of the Naiji?
The New Way Walker comes if a Naiji continues to expand on what their way is so that it is more holistic, and thus it is also simultaneously gaining greater alignment with natural law. This means that even if the Naiji developed this way for personal reasons, it has now become a new universal way that others can adopt in their lives to experience similar benefits. The Naiji is now responsible to show people how this new way is done heroically, which is where the Naiji directed nature shines the most. The New Way Walker continues to shine on what the Naiji's the New Way Walker continues to expand on what the Naiji's current way is. Thus, it is more in alignment with natural law. This makes their way more holistic and more universal. so that it can be passed over to other people. And thus this has a great influence on the people around them as how it could benefit the human species. This is where the Naiji directive nature shines the most in taking this way that they formed and then teaching it and sharing it with others.
So, all right, Mitchell.
Nice. The New Way Walker operates by having the Naiji continually expand on their way so that it is more holistic and in greater alignment with natural law. It influences the rest of the human species because Naiji innately common things develop their way for personal reasons, but as they expanded, it becomes more and more universal, and so it's going to affect it. It's something that would be able to apply to the lives of others as well and benefit them. And the Naiji direct nature shows here because they can shepherd people on how they can heroically do this new way. That's where their direct nature shines.
Yep, that's right. And it's not the most directive. Then that's actually the one-way walker, but it's the where it's usually very obvious that the Naiji is directed because you can go up to the my way walker and not tell anyone what you're doing and not need to teach anyone. But once you go to New Way Walker, you kind of have to interact with people and explain to them what you're doing and thus play the teacher. And once Naiji are, playing the teacher in any kind of visible way, they're definitely directive. All right. Last one for this one. Mitchell, you'll go first.
Should we take most out of that last one?
Yes, thank you.
Because it says it at the end.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's see which is where they've been shot.
That makes sense. Most. See, I can tell it. I can see it culminating.
Yeah. So how about this? I would say the Naiji is now responsible to show people how this new way is done heroically, which is where the Naiji director of nature shines as a teacher. You like that?
That's awesome.
Or shines through as a teacher, something like that. Update the other one too.
So this one has 6, most of them seem to have 5, right?
Yeah, this one just kind of worked out that way.
I guess last one did too. All right.
Shines
Should I go ahead and read it?
through as a. 1 second, I'm just updating ebooks. Got it. Yes, take away, please.
All right then. The one-way walker calls the Naiji to purposefully walk the highest way imaginable with best code of conduct possible. This will lead the Naiji to a profound understanding of natural law, particularly in regards to the human condition. With this spirit form, Naiji become supercharged heroes of a highly directed nature, with a preternatural drive to fathom the truth and to see that right is done, come what may. So is the first question related to the first sentence?
Let's see. So the first question is, how does
it relate to the earlier forms?
Yes. So let me see the first sentence here.
First sentence says to purposely walk. That one-way walk calls an IG to purposely walk the highest way imaginable with best code of conduct possible. That makes sense, but
yeah, maybe I should change the wording there. Maybe I should just use the same wording I used before.
How does it operate?
Yes. How does one-way walker operate? Let's use that.
Fair enough. Alright then. One-way walker operates by calling upon the Naishi to walk in the highest way possible, or the highest way imaginable, and with the best code of conduct that they can. One-way walker leads the Naishi to having a profound understanding of natural law, particularly with regards to the human condition, and it influences the way they live their lives, because the Naishi, it causes them to become really fully embrace their full directive nature, and gives them a drive, a preternatural drive to fathom the highest truth and then make sure that right is done no matter what.
Ben, take us home.
The one-way walker calls for the Naiji to sorry, I'm gonna have to read it again.
No worries.
The one-way walker calls for the Naiji to walk the highest way imaginable and to live the best code of conduct possible. This leads the Naiji to have a very large, encompassing understanding of their way and natural law, and to live it with the best. Actually, I'm gonna read the second sentence again because I want to make sure I've got this right. Yeah, to profound understanding of natural law. Okay. The one-way walker drives the Naiji to live the highest way possible and with the best code of conduct possible. And this drives the Naiji to have a massive, all-encompassing understanding of their way in accordance with natural law. The Naiji thus live a supercharged lifestyle of sorry, for some reason I don't know how I should be saying this. I'm kind of
Sure.
Yeah, I'm having
Okay, so the first one, first question is how's it operate? I think you got that one right. The next one is where does it lead them? Basically, it leads them to a profound understanding of natural law focused on human condition. That's the major takeaway. And then how how they live their lives is basically they have a preternatural drive to fathom the truth and then see that right be done with that truth. And in that way, that's when we see them at their most directive. Does that help?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The Naiji one-way walker leads them to live the highest way imaginable with the best code of conduct possible, and thus this gives them a profoundly large understanding of natural law and the human condition, and then that calls their high directive nature to for some reason, that last sentence is like really poetic. I'm just like trying to figure out how I should word it.
Just remember this: to truly fathom natural law, and then to make sure right is done.
Okay. Yeah, fathom. Okay.
Fathom truth, let right be done.
That makes sense. Thank you.
And in that mode is when Naiji are the most directive.
The one-way walker of the Naiji drives them to live the highest way imaginable with the best code of conduct possible, and this gives them a profoundly large understanding of natural law and the human condition. This calls to their directive nature to fathom the highest truth possible and make sure that right is done.
Good. You got there. You got there.
Yep, I got there.
All right. Next up, Ben, you'll go first. This is going to be next pitch, which is the natural law shepherd. Let me break it up. Okay. What is the natural law shepherd responsible for? What does this complex role include? How does this relate to the kind of Ji that Naiji have? What are some of the roles included in the overall role of natural law shepherd?
The Naiji natural law shepherd is responsible for both shepherding natural law to the people and shepherding the people for natural law. This complex role spans shepherding new truth into the world, shepherding this new worldly form of truth into other people, and then shepherding the people who now carry this new truth in them. This is a major reason why Naiji have such an unusual form of Jis compared to other Ji modos. In the course of this overall role, the Naiji natural law shepherd plays many roles such as student, teacher, explorer, advocate, leader, and champion. When it says shepherding the people, I often, for some reason, I think of like sheep herding. And then
Well, in the context that they don't know the unknown, then actually they are they are sheep as far as the unknown goes.
Yeah, it's just funny to think of sheep herding. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I've often thought about using the word guide in place of shepherd, but sometimes shepherd has the added G thing of like the hand holding that's involved. And to walk people from ignorance into enlightenment, there's a lot of hand holding.
Yeah.
And herding. You gotta herd them, like herding cats. So Ash is more like cats than sheep. They're like, oh man, come on, people.
Yeah. Yep.
Get it together.
So, the last part, it says shepherding the people who now carry this new truth in them. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, basically, you have to get truth to come down correctly from your observation into like what you think of it. So that's shepherding from truth, from the unknown into your head.
Yeah.
Then you have to shepherd it from your head into their head. And then just because it's in their head doesn't mean they're not going to still need.
You have to continue to cultivate it and grow it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do some follow-up work with them.
That makes sense. In the third sentence, it says that this is a major reason why the Naiji have such an unusual form of G as compared to other G mojas. And I mean, I think it's more so like implied, but it has to do with Naiji being, you know, they have to shepherd like an idea.
There's two kind of elements to that why that are implied, which is the fact that you're doing G, but not just for G's own purposes. You're serving Nai, a higher purpose, so that affects it there. And then in the course of doing that, there's several phases involved, like, you know what I mean, of how you're shepherding, and each phase requires different G. Like the G for shepherding into your own head oftentimes is, shut up world, I'm thinking. That's the G. The G is you tell them, leave me alone so I can think better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then the G of getting into their head has a lot to do with getting their attention and like initial teaching. And then as opposed to kind of like holding their hand and follow-up work afterwards. So the roles shift quite a bit. And that's because, again, you're serving a higher power and kind of like you're flowing out that process. Your G is responsible for delivery of Nai, not just G for another reason. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
People are confused about how Naiji G is not sometimes as sociable. I guess that's the main thing to focus on.
Yeah, because it's.
And then when it is sociable,
that is like really interesting.
Targeted and focused.
It's like we're very extreme about how we like socialize. So we aren't really considered by most people to be sociable because the way we socialize is more like, I guess, is more. I mean,
basically, we're always playing student or teacher. Our G is like always wrapped up in that process. So
yeah.
Other people don't always have that student-teacher dichotomy infused into every G maneuver they do. But Naiji they do. Every G maneuver, that's always implied in there.
So that makes like standard social interaction kind of boring to us.
It does.
You know. It's funny because like we get accused of like not being good at it, but we just not we don't, you know, it's.
And even Naiji are like together, they're all teachers, they're all students, they're all the same in that way. Still, the purpose is learning. The G is highly oriented towards learning something higher. The Baiji have a correlation to that, their way also.
That makes sense. Roles including in the overall natural shepherd. Teacher, export, advocate, leader, and champion. Would you like me to include all of the roles?
Whatever you can remember, at least a few would be good to give context.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll at least try to get all 5 if I can, or all 6. Certainly, at least student and teacher. I mean, that's like. The natural law shepherd is responsible for shepherding natural law to the people and shepherding the people to natural law. Um, this takes the form of Naiji shepherding the natural law truth into the world, and then taking this worldly truth and shepherding it to the people, and then from there shepherding the natural law truth, the people, shepherding the people further to cultivate the natural law truth that they have and grow it. This gives Naiji a particular unusual kind of Ji, where they're taking the natural law from their Nai and bringing it into the world, which you don't see with starting from that point, moving to that with their shepherding, which you don't see with other Jimojas. The Naiji, the natural law shepherd, has the roles of student, teacher, explorer, advocate, leader, and
Good.
I think I may have missed one, but
Champion. You got it. All right.
Then, Naiji natural law shepherd is responsible for shepherding natural law to the people and shepherding the people based on the dictates of natural law. This complex role includes shepherding new truth into the world, shepherding the worldly form of truth into people, and then shepherding the people who carry this truth inside of them. And this truth shepherding quality is what gives the Naiji the unusual sort of Ji they have as compared to other Jimoja. It doesn't have that focus for the other ones. Within this overall role, the Naiji natural law shepherd can play a student, teacher, explorer, advocate, leader, and champion.
Nice. All right. Next up, Mitchell, you'll go first. What are the three phases associated with the initial stage of a natural law shepherd?
Alright, the natural law shepherd is initially responsible for translating visionary insights from the simulator into some kind of original design form in the mind's eye. From there, the Naiji feeds this new idea, art, or personal form with self-pondering on how it can be made manifest by relevant media infusions, by discussing it with your friends, even if the only friends worthy of this elevated discourse may sometimes just be one's own spirits. Then, also at the end of this early rule stage, there is the grooming of the worldly area where this new creation will be given first life. Right. The Naiji natural law shepherd is going to be initially responsible for translating visionary insights from the simulator into an original design form in the mind's eye. Then the Naiji is going to sort of feed that design form with self-pondering and figure out how they could actually manifest it, and they can do that with conversations with your friends, even if that's just one spirits, or also media infusions. At the end of that, you have the Naiji is going to actually be grooming the area where they're going to give the ideas its first life.
Got it. Ben?
All right. So then initially, the natural shepherd is going to be responsible for translating the visionary insights of the Naiji into some original design form in the mind's eye. And then after that, the Naiji will need to cultivate and ponder how to make that into some worldly form. And from there, the Naiji will prepare and kind of cultivate the worldly area they'll be working with for that.
Yep. Good. Yeah. First flights are tricky. You got to make sure you prepare the runway.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, you'll go first on this one. What are the three phases associated with the middle stage of the natural law shepherd?
Natural shepherd in its middle stage form is focused at first on rendering the insight and impetus from the higher processes of the unconscious into a worldly observable form that is faithful to its source above all other considerations. Once given form in art, articulation, or personal enactment, the Naiji knows what it is they're trying to do in the world and can then work to make it understood for at least some people who are ready to hear this new voice in natural law. The Naiji must press forward until they forge themselves into the requisite representative that is able to import and impress the natural law within them into other worthy people. the middle stage begins by rendering their higher insights into a worldly observable form. Once that they have enacted or made their once they've enacted this form in through art or personal expression or so forth, they it is possible to begin to show this to the people who are able to see the higher insights natural law has to provide from their form. And it's the job of the Naiji to be the best representative that they can for bringing this this teaching to the world through that third form.
Nice. Alrighty. Mitchell?
Alright, so at first, the Naishi Natural Law Stepper in its middle stage is going to be focused on rendering their insight from their higher unconscious processes into a worldly observable form that primarily is going to be faithful to that form, not really worrying about other people at the beginning. Once they've given it some kind of form, through art or something like that, some kind of enactment, they're going to know what they're supposed to do in the world so that a few people would be able to understand and hear their natural law truth voice. And then at that point, the Naichi has to press forward and make themselves into the representative that they need to be so that they're able to actually impress their natural law voice of truth into other people.
Nice. Oh, all right. Next up, a later stage. All right. This will be the first year. What are the three phases associated with the later stage of the natural law shepherd?
The Naiji Natural Law Shepherd later on plays the role of teacher, of teacher to those who have accepted the insights the Naiji is showing, and also the role of student as the Naiji learns from the reactions the world has to what natural law they bring and how they bring it. In teaching a new way, Naiji will sometimes need to play the role of leader, and the Naiji Natural Law Shepherd is powerfully motivated and equipped in this regard. With new ways, there is often a need for personal performance, with a corresponding code of conduct to act as proof of concept. Naishi have evolved to be able to summon themselves into apex public champions of whatever they believe in. So in their later stage, the natural law shepherd, the first phase that Naiji are going to have is playing the role of a teacher to those who had accepted the insights that the Naiji has brought forward, and also the role of the student so that the Naiji can learn how to best deal with the reactions the world has to their teachings. The second stage of this, the second phase of this later stage is possibly playing the role of a leader, and the Naiji are very much equipped as the natural law shepherd and motivated in this regard. And then last but not least, there's also the third phase, which is possible personal performance. And there's a code of conduct to that because the Naiji is basically acting as like a proof of concept of their way. And Naiji have evolved to be apex public demonstrators for whatever cause they champion.
Nicely done. Ben?
Later on, the Naiji natural law teacher plays the shepherd plays the role of the teacher when the Naiji, for those that the Naiji is teaching the ways of the vision to people, and those who can or are willing to listen, and they may also do that to those who aren't really attempting to listen as well. But in addition, they play the role of the student when they're learning about how the world is reacting to their lessons and to their message. It's very important when teaching someone as well. And also at certain points, the natural law shepherd, the Naiji, plays the role of the leader, and the natural law shepherd is well equipped to do that. The Naiji also has the need to the Naiji will also find the need to live to apex standards, and yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna read the last sentence again.
For sure.
I feel more comfortable answering it that way.
Yeah.
Performance code of conduct. Later on, the Naiji natural law shepherd plays the role of the teacher in for teaching those who are willing to who gain from the insights that the Naiji is presenting. They also play the role of the students when as they are learning of how the world is reacting to the messages that they're sending. They play the role of the leader. The natural law shepherd is well equipped to do so, as an Naiji takes leadership roles with their way and message. The Naiji natural law teacher can also play the role of the champion when it comes to with their focus on personal performance and using that as a proof of concept for their way.
Good. Credit received. Alrighty. Last one. Ben, you'll go first.
Awesome.
How does the shape-shifting ability of Naiji relate to the natural law of Shepherd spirit form? How does the natural law of Shepherd relate to the concept of quasi-death? How does the natural law of Shepherd relate to the truth of natural law?
The Naiji natural law shepherd can often play the role of personal experimenter in how a new way is to be enacted, which frequently involves Naiji exploring the range of their shape-shifting abilities and the influence of their people-swaying powers of communication. Also, as a part of being a natural law shepherd, Naiji are built to be able to shepherd the rest of the tribe through the main challenging quasi-deaths that need to be experienced so that humanity's limited consciousness can then better understand the greater truth of the human condition and the meaning of existence. The Naiji have evolved to be truth-sayers for the human species, seeing and saying the truths of natural law that other humans either can't see or won't say. Shape-shifting. Abilities and consumer. The natural law shepherd can often play the role of a personal experimenter as it shapeshifts into several different forms to find the form that it is best suited for teaching. The Naiji will often guide human beings through quasi-death stages as they learn what they are getting incorrectly and how they can cultivate and move on from their previous incorrect understanding of how things are to the new, higher, more correct understanding of natural law. Natural law teachers are truth-sayers for natural law and meaning of existence, and they play that essential role for the human species.
Nice. Ching. Credit received. Mitchell, take us home, sir. It's party time.
Trash. So the shape-shifting ability of the Naishi relates to their natural shepherd spirit form because that very spirit form can play the role of a kind of personal experimenter, and that's going to get the Naishi to explore a range within their shape-shifting abilities and their people's sway abilities in how they impact people. It relates to the concept of quasi-death because Naishi are particularly built to shepherd humans through challenging new understandings and breaking old understandings, basically quasi-deaths, so that the consciousness of humanity can be expanded to be more in line with the meaning of existence and human condition. And then, as a part of this, Naishi have evolved to be truth-sayers for the human species, seeing and saying truths that other humans either can't see or won't say.
Nicely done. Credit, credit, credit. Boom. We are crushing. So 3 more, and the Naishi is done. This is going very well. Okay, so we'll go ahead and say goodbye to the world and do some private work off air. All right. Bye, world.
Bye.
Bye.